Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am thrilled to be leading this webcast today with Inside Higher Education. My name is Brittany Wampler, and I am also stepping in for Julia Larkin, our Vice President for University Partnerships this afternoon. In my role at Kaplan, I have the privilege of leading our all access license, and I'm focused on day to day on being the engine room behind student success for all access. It's my mission to support our 140 plus partners to ensure that they have everything they need to provide what we offer in terms of support and marketing to students, staff, faculty, and alumni. To set the stage for our conversation today, I want to share just a little bit about my lens. I am what you'd like to call an elder millennial. That means I'm part of that unique bridge generation. I remember life before the internet. I used to print out MapQuest directions to get wherever I needed. And I remember when we took family vacations having the AAA triptychs. I navigated my own college experience in a world that felt more analog, frankly. But today, we are serving our Gen Z population. And data tells us that they are a different generation entirely. They aren't just digital natives, they are arguably the most pragmatic and return on investment focused generation that we've ever seen before. They don't just want a degree, they want a guarantee. They want to know that on day one, through post graduation, they have a clear path to the future. For them, student services, things like mental health support and career coaching, workforce readiness, these are not just nice to have perks anymore. They are drivers for the front line of enrollment management. Students and their parents are looking for a safety net and a springboard to success. And this is why I'm so passionate about tools like the All Access License, which eliminates the financial barriers and moves the needle on support for all students and social mobility for graduating students. I am so looking forward today to how our panelists are going to be responding to this authenticity obsessed generation and how they are turning student success into their primary recruitment differentiator. Jessica, if you could please launch our first poll. We'd love to start by getting to know just a little bit about our audience attendees today. I'll take just a moment for those answers to come in. Got a great response so far. And in just a few seconds, Jessica's going to make the poll live so you too can see who is joining us today. We've got a great and robust group of individuals. Thank you so much. It looks like we've got a good group of community college and technical college attendees, public research universities, private non-for-profit institutions, regional public institutions, and other. Thanks again for being here. Well, let's kick things off, shall we? I'd love to set the stage with some background information on each of our panelists. So what we'll do is I'll have each of you introduce yourselves. Tell me a little bit about your institution and what you're most excited about right now. Why don't we start with Rhonda?
All right. Well, happy Thursday, colleagues. Again, my name is Rhonda Westry, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs, the Student Success Units at the Alabama State University, which is one of the nation's oldest HBCUs, and we are located in Montgomery, Alabama. We're home to about 4,900 students with the aspiration of getting to 5,000 this fall. But we do serve a student body, a diverse student body, and we offer over 60 undergraduate and graduate programs, and we are proudly led by our visionary 15th president, Dr. Quentin T. Ross Jr. Now, Brittany, what I am so excited about today's conversation, and everybody forgive me for using a cliche, But the discussion that we will be having today truly is an idea whose time has come as we explore holistic recruitment and enrollment as no longer being a luxury, but a necessity for institutional growth. So at this time, I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Ms. Chantel Thompson.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming in today. Thank you to my fellow colleagues that are on this call, and of course, Kaplan, Coreside, Inside Higher Ed. I am the Chief Communications Officer and Assistant Vice Chancellor for Strategic Operations at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. We are the flagship institution of a three-campus system where we serve more than 56,000 students and growing every single year. So we're really excited about what we're going to talk about today, and I hope you glean a lot of information from it. Right now, what I'm really excited about, though, is how we're aligning student success and those initiatives around the strategic communications. We're telling the story of impact while scaling services to meet students exactly where they are. And that really makes me excited. Can't wait to have this discussion with you today. And with that, I will pass it over to my colleague, Michael.
Thank you, Chantel, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming to you from Frankfort, Kentucky, the capital of the Commonwealth, and I am at Kentucky State University. We are celebrating our 140th anniversary, founded in 1886, and we are also an 1892 land-grant institution, and we're very excited about that. The 1892s just celebrated their 135th anniversary. We are a campus of about 3,000 students, largely undergraduate. We also have growth and dual credit enrollment. We have a number of graduate programs, including a doctorate of nursing practice. We're very strong in STEM plus H. We have a largely first generation and Pell eligible student audience, and that focuses a lot of the work that we do in terms of recruitment. And it also is something that is near and dear to my heart as a first generation college student as well. And we're really at an interesting moment in the history and the evolution of the institution. Just in April, the Kentucky General Assembly passed Senate Bill 185 that was signed into law by Governor Andy Beshear on April 13th. And we will be changing our focus to more of a polytechnic focus institution. We believe that we will be one of the only HBCU 1892 land grant institutions with that type of focus, but we're really looking to some of the models we see in Tuskegee, Howard, Spelman, Morgan State, and places like that. But we're an institution that has really been working on expanding opportunity, preparing students for meaningful work, and serving communities across the Commonwealth and beyond our borders. It's great to be here, and I'll now pass it along to my colleague, Christina. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Sanchez-Waiton. I serve as the Associate Vice President of Undergraduate Admission at Cleveland State University. We are an urban public research university located in the heart of downtown Cleveland. We were founded in 1964, so a fairly young institution with about 14,000 plus students that are in 8 different colleges and more than 175 academic programs. We are an urban campus where we really emphasize connecting students to the city of Cleveland and making sure that they get real world hands-on experience as a student in their undergraduate experience to make sure that they have future ready skills and opportunities. So I'm excited to be a part of this discussion. I think something I'm excited about is to learn from my colleagues and my fellow panelists that are on the call and to just walk through some of the questions that you all have to see what's top of mind. I also am very excited for May 1 is right around the corner for any other chief enrollment officers or enrollment officers that are on the call that are, waiting to see the students that have been listening to our message and hearing about our student experience and choosing our institutions on National College Decision Day. So very exciting mini holiday here for the enrollment professionals. So excited for that.
Thanks so much, Christina. Now that we've gotten to know our panelists, let's hear from our audience once again. Jessica, if you could throw up our poll question number 2, which is really getting to know you and where you are coming from. We'd love to know which functional areas within higher education you work, and we're excited to hear where you're coming from today. A couple quick housekeeping points. The chat is disabled today, but the Q&A is open, and I would strongly encourage anyone to submit questions. We do have a list of questions that we'll be tackling as a team, and then ultimately we'll have some time for questions at the end. So please do feel free to submit those questions throughout our webcast today. Let's get into the first question. So, as has already been referenced, really, there's been a shift in recent years relative to more proactive student success, specifically in the sense that student services is the new front line of enrollment. In the past, support services were often reactive, something that students sought out once they were on our campuses or if they had a need or were already in trouble. How are you moving these services on your campuses to the front of your marketing and recruitment messaging to treat them as primary differentiators rather than secondary higher education benefits? Chantel, could you begin?
I'd be happy to. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate it. So, here at the University of Illinois, we've made a very intentional shift from positioning service as just support to part of the student experience from day one. So, right off the bat. And that means we're elevating things like career readiness, wellness, advising, basic needs support directly into recruitment and marketing messaging. So, it's happening right at the beginning, which is fantastic. And that's a big part of the way we frame our what we call our community of care. And it's grounded in something called a CARES framework. And that framework is communication and collaboration. So we're communicating consistently and constantly, both internally and externally, to make sure that we're collaborating, to make sure that students have exactly what they need when they need it, and working with them and meeting them where they are. It's accessibility and accountability. Do people have access to what they need? And are we holding ourselves and are they holding themselves accountable to moving forward, to doing everything that they can to find their success while they're here and beyond? And then relationships and responsibility, those relationships that we're building with our students and our colleagues, both internal and external, are those relationships that are supporting the students to be successful while they're here. And then making sure that we're responsible for doing exactly what we said we were going to do when we're marketing with all those messages to say, here's the experience that you're going to get when you come. And then they're taking responsibility, of course, along the way, we're giving them the skills they need to be in charge of their own destiny, to do what they need to do. And then that's obviously leading them to excellence and eminence, because that's what we're always driving for. We want them to be the best version of themselves that they could possibly be. And that's not just our students, that's our staff as well. So that's kind of our CARES framework that underpins everything we're doing to create that community of care. And that helps us move from that reactive to a more proactive approach, ensuring that the student's experience is actually a coordinated one and that it's visible, and it's visible often and very early on. So that's really important. And then, of course, we're telling more intentional stories of impact around how students are engaging with services right from the start, not just when they have a moment of challenge or opportunity. So we're making sure that they do that. And then we want to make sure that they understand that student success is not a secondary benefit to what they're doing. It's the defining part of their Illinois experience while they're with us. And it's a differentiator of why students choose to enroll with our institution.
That's great, Chantel. I did want to mention very briefly, I see so many enrollment management folks that are on the call. Thank you so much for being here, and a ton of academic affairs folks too. So thank you for being here. And then we have a smattering of everyone else. So if you checked out those poll results, I was very excited to see the conversation absolutely leans into those who are here today, and we're excited that you're here. Rhonda, do you want to take it away?
Yes, and I am excited to hear so many of our enrollment management people are on board, as well as my colleagues from academic affairs. So at Alabama State University, the student success centers that I oversee are within the Division of Student Affairs Enrollment Management. So over the years, we have worked together with our partners in academic affairs to intentionally shift from a reactive model of student support to a more proactive model, that is enrollment driven. So, like a lot of us, our institutions made the first shift. I think we were all forced to make that first shift right after COVID. So, in 2021, we wrote and was awarded a grant from our Alabama Commission on Higher Education, State Higher Education Agency, to expand our traditional Summer Bridge program to a Summer Bridge Plus initiative. Now, the traditional program is for those students who fall within a certain tier, and some of my enrollment management colleagues understand what I'm saying about that. But it was not for all students. So, with our Summer Bridge Plus initiative, and Plus stands for promoting learning and upgrading skills, that was our answer to meet the needs of those students during those times, because we all know the research that there was a lot of loss of learning during COVID. So that was our first step of not only trying to ensure our students' success, our incoming freshmen success, but also being more proactive before they got here on campus. And then in 2023, a second shift happened for us. And again, partnering with colleagues in academic affairs, a faculty colleague and myself, we launched an initiative called Success Before the Nest. We are the ASU Hornets. And so Success Before the Nest is a 6-month virtual pre-enrollment workshop series for incoming students and their families. So once again, we wanted to shift from a strictly student-focused model to a more family-centered approach prior to students getting onto our campus. So as you see, both of our initiatives are examples, and those are just two of several initiatives that we are working on, again, collaborating with our admissions department because we're all under student affairs enrollment management. But those are some of the examples that help us to reframe the types of services that are now part of ASU value proposition, where we're not just, meeting their challenges after arrive. We're trying to speak to those challenges before they arrive. So by positioning student success as the differentiator, we're not just responding to those challenges, we're also signaling to prospective families that ASU offers structured, personalized pathways from day one to graduation and beyond.
That is amazing. I've already taken notes on everything you two have said. Christina, do you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, I think from the enrollment side, talking about how we're sharing that messaging with students, for us, the biggest shift is that student success isn't an add-on afterwards. It's part of the value proposition that we share with a prospective student at the start. I think colleges and universities do a great job of saying, we have this, we have this, we have this, but not explaining the why or how that's important to students. And so it's our job in admissions and enrollment management to really take the work that our colleagues are doing in student success and convey to students why that is so important to them to get that hands-on experience, why it's so important for them to connect with these resources on campus. So, we've shifted from an academic advising model at Cleveland State to an academic coaching. So they're looking at their academic record, but they're also looking at, did you pay your financial aid bill? Did you seek out those services that you needed for counseling? Do you need help finding a job on campus? And so it's really explaining to students up front that we're looking at them as a holistic human being, and these student services are here to really enhance their experience and how that really is going to change their outcomes as a student. So, we highlight retention, graduation, but we also have a student series. It's a video series on YouTube just called The Student Experience that we promote in a lot of our recruitment pieces that lets the students tell their stories of ways that they've connected to these student success initiatives and how it benefits them. We share that with the students. We share that with the parents too. It's important for parents to see, they want to make sure their students are taken care of, and how our colleagues are working on the student success side to make sure they're successful. It's our job to tell that story up front and to really say this is a part of the value of coming to our institution is all of these great resources you get.
That's fantastic. I want to switch gears just a little bit. One of the pieces about Gen Z that we know is that they are tellingly practical, right? They want to know on day one that they will have a job post-graduation. Beyond traditional career centers, how are your institutions integrating workforce readiness directly into the pitch to prospective students for enrollment purposes. I know, Christina, we just heard from you, but why don't you start us off this time?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to, I'm going to share a little bit about an exciting thing that CSU is launching with the creation of our new talent hub that we're going to be launching soon. But, my colleagues have worked hard on this, and I know that they're planning a big launch of it. But something that we are making sure with our students is that our faculty are helping to prepare students for the world of work. So they're talking to employers to see what skill sets are they looking for when students are graduating, and then how do we build a curriculum around that, and then how do we build student services around that. So one of the things that we'll be launching soon is as a talent hub, where we're making sure it's not just a career services office, it's fundamentally like redesigning how the workforce is going to prepare our students. So it's going to be a hub for employers to connect with Cleveland State. It's going to be a hub for students to connect with employers. We're trying to ensure that every undergraduate program has some sort of work integrated learning pathway outlined for students so that they're connected, they get that real world experience. And we know it right now it's harder than ever for students to find a job. And so if you have that network built as an undergraduate student, you have someone that you can send your resume to. You have someone that can really help cut through the noise of applying to all of these different jobs. And so we're trying to make sure that students have multi-year partnerships with employers, not just one-off here or there, that we have a really strong network within the city of Cleveland for these students with the Talent Hub. But also we launched just last year a number, I believe it was 12 integrated degrees. So again, when our faculty talked to employers, we said, what skill sets are you looking for? And it wasn't just they needed someone in computer science. They needed someone in computer science that had a background in design. And so our faculty wrote a curriculum for 12 new integrated programs, and I know they're creating new ones every day that mirror the needs of a workforce. It's dynamic. They're not just looking for one set of skill sets, they're looking for two. And so when we're talking to students, we say, if you're interested in computer science, you could do an ethics in computer science and help design this new changing workforce with AI and all of these different things coming in. So our faculty have been really instrumental in making sure that we are meeting the needs of the changing workforce. We're not just reacting to it.
Michael, would you like to jump in here?
Yeah, let me jump in. And, I didn't mention this in my introduction, but of course you can see on my title, I'm Chief Strategic Communications Officer. So, my role is being kind of the chief storyteller. And I sit on the president's cabinet, so that helps me not only know what's going on and what stories need to be told, but to continually insist that we need to deliver on the promises that we make about what we are offering to students and how we are thinking about them, not only on day one, but before they get here, how they're going to be successful and how we can follow through on that. So I do a lot of work to support enrollment management, of course, but we really do a lot to just tell stories all the time about the ways in which our students are being mentored. Mentoring is a really important concept for us to show how they're being involved in internships and co-op experiences and all those high impact practices. But for us, research has become a really important thing too. And you may say research, but you're a small institution, you're only 3,000 students. So as an 1890 land grant institution, we have a lot of money that comes in through the USDA, through NIFA. We get grants through DOE and NSF and all those types of things as well. And it's not just faculty doing this with graduate students, it's faculty doing a lot of this work with undergraduate students. I was surprised to find out when I did the research that we actually have the third largest research portfolio in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So that means we're right after the University of Kentucky, the University of Louisville, and then Kentucky State. So we have lots of colleges and universities here, but we've really been leaning into the research opportunities that our students can find as well, which makes a lot of sense with the shift to the polytechnic focus. But again, thinking about the demographic that we serve, I think we've all found that student success had been a retention strategy for a long time. It's really now an enrollment strategy. It's not something that happens after students start to struggle, but it's for everyone. It's for those who may be struggling. It's for those who are very ambitious as well. And so we need to make it clear even before they get here that we are, as you all said, take a very holistic approach, and we're trying to make sure that the investment that they're making, and this is a really big deal if you're from a first generation family, if you're receiving a lot of support to make this investment possible, we need to make sure that people know that that investment is something that they will see a return on. So, we really focus on the fact that our students shouldn't have to know ahead of time how college works in order to benefit from college if they don't have that background and that legacy and so forth. And so that ends up becoming a part of our value proposition as well. And we're still, we have growing pains. We're 140 years old, but we're still trying to figure it out. And we just this week, and I'll put in a plug for the audience out there, we just this week posted a new position for vice president for enrollment management and student success. And we combine that because we don't see those as siloed. We really see that as something that's just so closely connected. So please look for that job ad. Please consider us and be part of the success that we're trying to build when we combine both of these elements.
Rhonda, I think that it's exactly the segue into your role, and I'd love to hear your comments here too.
I'm about to burst because you all are speaking my love language out there. I'm hearing all the things I love about what I do. Michael, like you, I am a first generation. Now, it's interesting, Brittany, because I think you said you're an early millennial. Well, I'm an early
I'm an elder
elder. Okay, I
millennial.
like that. I like that title because so I can say I'm an
It's better
elder.
than boomer.
Right. So I'm an elder Gen Xer who happens to have three Gen Z children. So I feel they're not children, they're adults now, but I feel like, I have a lot of advantages from the standpoint of I'm a parent of Gen Zers. I come from a different generation, of course. I'm first generation. And actually, my dissertation was on this very topic. So you all just forgive me because I am so very passionate. And I did my research 16 years ago on this very topic on how student services can be a mediating factor for success, for retention and completion. So, having said all of that, I do want to tell you all about, give you an example of how we're moving that needle in terms of addressing workforce readiness. Because again, I looked at workforce readiness, I looked at a student's motivation, and what we do as student success services administrators. And again, that was 16 years ago, and it was on a population of non-traditional age students because at that time I was at a different university. But here at ASU, a prime example of us integrating workforce readiness directly as a pitch to our prospective students for enrollment purposes is through our newly TMCF funded initiative called Hornet Pathways. And I have a lot of acronyms, you all. So Pathways stands for Progress, Achievement, Tenacity, Holistic Growth, Workforce Readiness, Academic Excellence, and year-round support. So it's designed to guide our first and second year students because that was what I had in mind when I developed this initiative. But it was an integrated system of support that starts right before students, or right after, I should say, students are admitted to ASU. So we have two main focuses, again, first and second year. The Hornet Focus, another acronym, which stands for First Year Opportunity to Cultivate Undergraduate Success. It helped us to expand the capacity of the Success Before the Nest because before, and we do offer an incentive, by the way, that's how we get the families to engage and commit to 6 months of attending the series workshops. So we give them a $100 refund on that mandatory new student orientation, but we just didn't have enough funds. So through the TMCF grant, we were able to take it from 125 families to now 300. And when I tell you, I had so many families to register for that since we've been awarded the grant. So that's one way because within the series, we talk about career readiness. Now, one of the things that's part of our QEP, which is the first year journey to success, again, years ago when we were developing the QEP, our Office of Institutional Effectiveness invited the whole campus community that included alumni. We all know the QEP process if you're SAC COC. But at any rate, so they invited white papers, and I submitted a white paper on the importance of first year career readiness. So now that is part of their requirement in their first year experience course to take a career assessment. So I mentioned that to say that is also part of Success Before the Nest. We talk about major to career and we have them to do that assessment. And I always tell them this way you don't have to do your homework in the fall, you'll already have it done. Just let your professor know that you have it done and give them a copy of it. So that is one way in which we do that in the first year, along with our Summer Bridge Plus, as I mentioned, because again, we'll talk with the students throughout the summer about career readiness. We have some modules that I'm so excited to talk about later on through Kaplan. So in the first year, we're preparing them before their first academic year, but the second year I am really excited for because we did not have anything to address our second year students. And as we all know, we're really good with those first year students, but when it comes to the second year experience, we tend to slack off because we feel like, hey, they got this. But again, if we're going to be more, and I always say, and I think, Michael, you said it, about we have to be intentional with showing families the ROI of attending or earning a college degree, right? We know that now. We know with Gen Zs, this is what they want to know. So with our second year program, it's called Hornet Flight, and Flight stands for, again, another acronym, focus learning, internships, grow network, and holistic transition. And this initiative will help us to engage 200 second year students in a residential career learning community that will provide them with professional development opportunities. So I say all that to say both initiatives are a pitch to our prospective students because one of the things I tell prospective students, if they're involved in the Success Before the Nest, but especially the Summer Bridge Plus, then we'll give them priority for the Hornet Flight program. And that's a popular program because, again, it will allow students to get $1,000 credit towards their housing for 2 semesters. So both of these initiatives answer those questions that our parents and our students have, which are, will my student be supported? Will they finish on time? And will they finish with a strong job or placement in a competitive graduate or professional school? So that's how ASU is doing it to help us stay ahead of the game in terms of making sure that we're providing our prospective parents with that ROI.
That's amazing. Thank you all so much. I will say, Rhonda, we might need to review all of those acronyms before this webinar is over because I know there's no way that I could have written them down fast enough, but they're wonderful. So thank you so much. So as we've talked about, we have initiatives that are focused on student success, and these are also key differentiators driving enrollment. One solution that each of your institutions has today is the program that I have the privilege to support, the All Access License. The Kaplan All Access License, just so everybody knows, is really driving free access for students and sometimes alumni to courses such as the MCAT for medical school admissions, LSAT for law school. We also have licensing preparation for nursing, engineering, skills courses like our Confident New Hire course, critical thinking, business credentials, and more. So I'd love to hear just a little bit about why your institutions are so supportive and welcoming of this initiative on your campuses, and maybe if you had an aha moment when you realized the impact that these resources could have on your students. Two of our newest partners are here, Kentucky State and Alabama State. So, Michael, why don't I let you kick it off this time?
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I would say for us, really, the aha moment was that preparation itself can really become an equity issue. Given the demographic that we serve, a very diverse student body, first gen high Pell eligibility, I think equity has just been such an important issue for us. What we found is, students may come in with talent, discipline, ambition, but they're just not prepared for the cost of test prep or credential preparation, and that really becomes a hidden barrier. In fact, they may not even know that that's something that they have to expect as part of the path on the journey that they're making to become successful. So there's a lot of educational component that goes in from our standpoint to make sure that they're aware of that. But we are doing everything we can to make sure that for especially first gen and Pell eligible students, that those hidden costs aren't a surprise. Because there is no hidden cost anymore. We can tell them that this is something that is available to them. So what we can say to our students, thanks to Kaplan All Access, is your next step should not depend on whether you can afford the next step and this preparation outside of the classroom. So what this helps us do is really align with our mission of access and opportunity. We are not about lowering bars at all. We're about setting very high ones, but we're also all about making sure that we give students more tools to clear that bar. So I think Kaplan All Access has really been a vital and important equity issue for us here at Kentucky State University.
Rhonda, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Michael really said it best for us. And I became familiar with Kaplan All Access. And again, this is the reason why these type of learning community sessions are so good because we're learning from each other. But if you're not collaborating with your colleagues on campus, you can miss out on some very important opportunities. So when I was writing for the grant this time last year, I reached out because I knew it was going to be about career readiness and career development, professional development for our students. So I reached out to my colleague who is our AVP over student engagement, which she also is over the Office of Career Development. Well, long story short, we got the grant, right? And so we just recently, like you said, Brittany, acquired Kaplan All Access. So she had invited me to somebody put something on my calendar. I'm like, what is this? Another somebody put this on my calendar. I don't know what this is. And so anyway, she was like, calm down, calm down. This is something that we're going to get. And I thought you would like it for your program, understanding, that you have all of these things that you want the students to do in terms of career readiness, financial literacy, a very holistic approach towards career development. So I said, okay. So I said, well, next time they have something, I'll join. And when I joined, and when I saw that website, I was like, you talk about that aha moment, Brittany? I was like, not aha, but oh my God, this is the answer to my prayers. Because even though we do have, various platforms out there that will help us with that career development piece, but the Kaplan All Access is the only platform I believe that will help students with, like you were saying, LSAT prep, and all the different test preps that are out there. So yeah, it didn't take me long once I saw what it had to offer. So moving forward with our Hornet Flight initiative, students will be required to do some activities on that platform. But not only that, we are part of the grant. We are also acquiring a student engagement platform where our students can earn badges for their LinkedIn page. And so I've already identified certain modules out there on the Kaplan Access that I want them to complete in order for them to earn certain badges. So, like I started off by saying, this whole idea of talking about this now truly is an idea whose time has come. So, thank you once again.
Christina, tell us a little, you are a longtime partner. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about how All Access works at Cleveland State.
Yeah, so similar to Michael's sentiments, we have a high percentage of our students who are Pell eligible, and it really is about leveling the playing field for these students, removing barriers for them, and showing them that we are planning for their future career. We are invested in their success, And not only do we have the all access, we're pairing it again with an academic coach. So if these students tell us on their application that they are pre-med, they're automatically assigned a coach that's going to walk them through the process to help them with their interviews. And also, you don't need to worry about the test prep. You can take those tests. You don't need to worry about paying each time. So we've partnered services to just show that we are preparing for your future career, your next step for graduate school. We've got the resources, we've got the investment, we believe in you. And so we're going to be, helping students navigate that process. And for parents, I find it's most helpful when I talk to parents when they say, they're interested in pre-med. And I say, well, you're in the right place. Or they're interested in law school, you're in the right place because not only do we have the academic coach that's going to walk them through, that's going to be by their side, preparing them for interviews, we have these resources that we are providing to them at no additional cost to them. They don't need to worry about those barriers when they're preparing for their next step. So for us, it's been a game changer in those conversations. And we ask on the application for admission if they have any of these pre-professional aspirations when they're coming in, no matter the major they're picking. We're not limiting it only to the ones that look like a traditional pathway. And then we're starting to share that message with the students about these opportunities that they have. But it just shows the students that we're invested and we're prepared and we're ready for them. And we're thinking about their career before they even step foot on campus.
That's great. Chantel, you have a different setup at the University of Illinois. Do you want to share a little bit about that and how All Access landed?
Yes, we do. And we have been friends for a long time with Captain. So thank you very much. We love our friendship and our partnership with you. And like all of our other colleagues, and I'm sure like many of you that are out there listening to this, you're saying, oh, my aha moment for things for my students to make sure they're successful is often around that access piece. So we've all mentioned that. That's the throughput of the access was the barrier. Our students, every single one of them, and every single one of these institutions is really, really driven. They're wonderful. They're talented. They have so much power that just needs to be unlocked. And some of that gets a little bit locked away sometimes when they don't feel like they can take a step with the next prep, like resources, things like this, because they don't have access. And that access shouldn't be the limiting factor. And so for us at our university, the University of Illinois, with support from our state, which is a very different model, we have access to the Kaplan All Access Partnership that allows us to remove that barrier at scale, which is amazing. So we have, and Brittany listed all of those, and there's so many more. So there's so many more prep courses and exams around all areas of career readiness and career readiness and critical thinking. But we're really fortunate and really grateful for the fact that our level of support comes from the state level. And they've prioritized at scale this clear signal that says we're investing in all access. We're giving all students the opportunity to take advantage of this so that we don't have students who just simply cannot pursue what they would like to pursue. So they're investing in our students and in their futures, which is really, really powerful. And it gives us the opportunity to provide them with even more services in addition to our Career Services Center, which our Career Center is full service. Just like many of the other universities on this call, we have embedded advising in different areas of academic interest, and we're coaching our students along the way and mentoring them in ways that lead them down the road to their success. And oftentimes that will include the need for prep exams. And so this program specifically for us has been really great in providing them with the access. And it really aligns, I mentioned our CARES framework earlier, particularly with that accessibility and accountability piece. We're not just encouraging them to have aspirations. We're giving them the tools in their tool belt to actually make it happen, which is really, really powerful. And it feels great as an administrator for me, knowing that we're providing them something that's really meaningful. And it's a differentiator for prospective students and families because they know we're committed to not just getting them here, not getting them in the classroom, getting them in the seats. We're here to make sure that they're successful long after they arrive when they're here.
That's fantastic. So we have one final poll question that I'd love to throw up because we've been talking about so many different areas of priority for institutions when it comes to supporting Gen Z students. So I would love to hear what we're talking about, which is so much around affordability, access, career outcomes. Is that what you're seeing as priorities on your campus as well? So we'll leave the poll open for a few more seconds. I can tell you that career outcomes is very far in the lead here, everyone, and that does not surprise me one bit. We'll leave it up for just another couple seconds. Okay, we absolutely see you. Nearly 50%, 48% of you said career outcomes is one of the top and key priorities for Gen Z. So that tells us we are absolutely on point here today with our discussion. So we're gonna I have two more questions and then we'll see where we land and we'll open it up to questions. So I am gonna I'll say that I'll try to be brief so that we can attack as many questions as we can with the time that we've got left. I recognize, oh my gosh, this time is flying by. So let's think about this. As we think about all of those key priorities as it relates to Gen Z, the overarching priority that we see is career outcomes. And what we know is that they want authenticity when it comes to career outcomes. So they are students are transparent with us, right? Um, what are you hearing from your students directly about the efforts to prioritize different offerings related to career or related to student services? You might talk about what it's been like rolling out all access, but please don't feel like you have to. We just talked about all access. I'd just love to hear um, what you're hearing from your students directly about prioritizing student services. Christina, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think for us, we hear from students not just about like, do you offer the support, but is it easy to use? Is it equitable? Does it fit into my life and my schedule? Like, is it applicable to me? And not just something there that, we put on a tagline to say, yes, we check this box and we do it, but how does it really relate to the student? And for us, the all access, to use that as an example, it reduces some of their stress, right? It helps them be able to prepare more for the like studying and learning and worry less about the logistics and the stress about these other components that goes into it. It really just lets them focus on their success. But I think they really respond to efforts that are proactively built into their experience. When they look at our institutions, they're not thinking Cleveland State Career Services versus Cleveland State Academic Coach versus Cleveland State. So, like, how can we proactively build this experience for them so that it feels seamless and authentic? For us, that's what students really respond to. They get a little lost in the shuffle when they are dealing with so many different areas on campus. But if it's authentic, it's easy to use. There's not a lot of barriers for students. That really helps them know that we're designing solutions around what we know their problems to be. Like, we understand them, we understand what challenges they're going to be up against and what barriers they might have to finding a career, and we're intentionally making those pathways for them.
Great. Anyone else? Michael?
Yeah, I would add in, I didn't get to comment on the workforce readiness component, but I guess I would tie these together here. And if we just step back for a moment in terms of what's going on right now, we're reading about program cuts at institutions, public and private, across the country. Um, we are making this change as an institution in part by Senate legislation. Along with that is coming a lot of appropriations to the size that we've never had before, because we're really trying to partner with all entities across the Commonwealth to make sure that the preparation that we're providing is for the jobs that are out there right now and the needs that exist. So the grants that we get are competitive. We're getting those because we can demonstrate that we are trying to provide solutions. I think our students see that. I think prospective students see that. And again, the stories we tell about that end up being very important. We are right now going through academic program review, but we do it every year. And as part of our faculty governance, We use the gray design intelligence, start, stop, and grow. And that's been really important for us to make sure that we're offering something that is really relevant to today's needs. And I think that that really resonates with students when they look at us in terms of ROI, because our students are already doing things in terms of workforce type of work. But again, the credentials are important. So needing to get that the MCAT done, we're very strong in nursing and STEM plus H. There's so many credentials that need to be achieved as well. So we're trying to make sure that we're providing an education that's extremely relevant to current needs, but we're also providing all of those resources to make sure that those credentials are being met along the way as well. So I think it's really just a combination of institutional focus and relevance, and then making sure that we're providing all of those elements along the way.
All right, I'm gonna jump in if it's okay. I am gonna jump in. So I really want to get to audience questions. I know there's several that have come in. So before I do, one of my favorite questions to ask in a webinar setting is around the future. So each of you experts in your own areas for your own institutions, but as we look to the future, if you had a crystal ball, and as we move forward, let's say 5 years from now, what do you think is higher education's biggest opportunity for student success? All right,
Well,
Michael, I'm going to ping you to start us off.
oh boy, oh boy. Okay. So I tell you, AI, we haven't mentioned AI. AI we thought was going to transform the world. When I'm making my 45-minute commute in the morning, I listen to lots of different news sources. And you know what we're finding is it's really good at content creation and things like that, but it's not going to take away the jobs that are going on in the future. And what it really made me think about is the marriage that needs to take place between both the digital and the analog. So I'm not a digital native, I'm a digital nomad, I'm a boomer, but there really needs to see that balance. And I think that Gen Z really expects digital access, but they really value human connection as well. And I think those of us who are in communications and marketing know we haven't abandoned print necessarily, that we really do things that are really digitally focused, but the way that all access is succeeding here at Kentucky State University is the way in which we combine that digital and that analog. We have so much human connection in addition to the way that we're pushing this out digitally. And this is a credit to Kaplan because they provide this whole suite of tools that we need to do the marketing, both on that digital platform, but that our faculty members need as well, because they have to be that touch point. Because what we've realized is that success, works when you have a number of trusted sources. And it's not just Twitter or Instagram, but it's your faculty member, it's your advisors, and all those types of things. So I think what's going to be really interesting over the next 5 years is not necessarily how computers have taken everything over and AI dominates everything, but we're going to find that the judgment that we don't have in AI and the digital kind of world really needs to be balanced with that human connection. So I think that's where we're going to be at. And again, I think this is where all access fits in because it provides that strong digital kind of training and so forth. But human connection is always going to be an important complement to that.
I'll mention just really quickly, I saw an article within the past 48 hours, and I can't remember where, but institutions creating no screen zones. And so really hyping authentic spaces for people to connect. All right, Chantel, I'm throwing it over to you.
Okay, you're
Be
throwing
our
me over the
future teller.
Okay, I will do my very best. So in my opinion, my not so expert in the future opinion, but what I feel like is that the way work is changing, our working world is changing tremendously. And as a land grant R1 institution that has been around over 150 years, there's things that we'll need to think about possibly shifting. So there's many institutions out there who are traditional residential experiences, offering degrees in areas that are specific to their area of focus. I think we need to start thinking about what does credentialing really look like as we're moving forward, how we're upskilling and doing workforce development, how we're still providing that residential experience in those areas of foci and really deep, wonderful research that creates things like amazing AI tools. We need to continue to do that. But we need to make sure that we are very practically also meeting students and families where they are to make sure that we are really investing in the future, not only of our knowledge as a community, as a world, but also the economic piece and the drivers that happen as a result of the wonderful educations people receive at our institutions, regardless of the flavor of institution that they are. So that's my personal opinion of I think we need to be shifting a little bit as higher ed and figuring out the way the working world and the way of work will shift. So we need to probably shift as well.
Mm. Christina.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, Chantal. I was like nodding my head aggressively. I'm sorry. But I think we have a lot of students that are non-consumers right now, right? We know a lot of students are just opting out of the college process and deciding not to go or taking some time off. So to your point, it's how do we tell that message a little bit better? But I also think that the data that we're using, institutions that are going to be doing the best, in my opinion, in the future, are the ones that are using that data, not just to say, here's what happened, here's the students that left our institution, here's the students that, and really using that to predict guidance that we can give them. So I know a lot of institutions have early alert systems, but how can we anticipate what the student's going to need before they ask for it? Especially at our institutions that have a lot of first generation students, they don't know what questions to ask. And so how can we proactively say, we know based on these factors what services we should be providing to you and what your likelihood is to need the support. So just, I think the institutions that embrace data to more effectively predict how to help students early instead of looking back and telling the story of why they're no longer with us or why they're not enrolled. I think those are the institutions that'll be doing the best.
Wonderful. All right, Rhonda, take it home.
Okay, I'm just going to be very brief because, as you see, I've been shaking my head. Absolutely love what you said, Michael, about that human factor. Because again, Chantel or somebody mentioned about it was you, Brittany, that you said you saw an article. I actually saw an Instagram reel from a neuroscientist talking about how technology is really hurting our students from so many angles. Now it does have its good parts, right? And I love technology. I am Miss Copilot all day long. But what if you said it? You still have to know what to ask it, right? It's not a
Yeah.
substitute for how we think, critical thinking. So to bring it all home and to sum it all up, 5 years from now, I really do want to see this gap between K-12, higher ed, and our workforce people, we need you at the table as well. I have sat in so many statewide conversations or at so many statewide tables, so to speak, and we all talked about, and we were all talking about how do we support students, keep them in school, number one, but also two, how do we ensure that higher education is remaining relevant? How do we ensure that there is a strong ROI? For our families. And so we are all scrambling around. And I mean, universities all over the state, from the University of Alabama, Auburn, where that's my alma mater, to, some other HBCUs, 2-year colleges. So we were all talking about that. And then we all looked around and said, there are no workforce people here, from industry. So, all the good work that we do in higher ed, again, we have to make sure we're closing the gap with K-12 partnerships. Again, I heard about credentials, dual enrollment. Thank goodness our dual enrollment program has taken off because, again, it's cost effective for our parents, our families. But then, two, all the great work we do in higher ed with all the wonderful resources we have. Now that I have this well prepared student, I need you to give them a job. I need you to work with us and give them a job. Or, as you were saying too, Michael, providing them with that access and really having the Kaplan access really does now level the playing field, especially for our first gen students who do not have access to these things. Smart as can be, they're, very intelligent, but we all know it's so important that with that, we provide them with opportunities to be able to highlight and showcase that intelligence.
Absolutely. You really did take it home. Thank you.
Thank
Chantel, Michael, Christina, Rhonda, it has been the fastest hour of my day. It has been such a pleasure. I want to thank Inside Higher Education for allowing us this space today to really allow our institutions to shine. It was an amazing hour. I have so many notes and takeaways, ideas about how we can best support students in the future. And what we know about Gen Z is that they are asking for it. They are expecting it and they're demanding it. So I hope that you two in the audience and our panelists have takeaways about what might inform your future work and your next steps in planning for this summer. Speaking of, happy May 1st to all of our enrollment management folks on the call. Thank you for being here. Congratulations to your big deadline tomorrow, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.
you.